Hey, what's going down, everybody? Welcome back to the Dude Nurse Show. Got a pretty interesting episode today. We are going to digress from our normal topic of healthcare. Um, and we're going to talk about some Second Amendment issues. As a lot of you guys may know, uh, excuse me, a lot of people feel, myself included, that our Constitution of the United States is under attack, particularly the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, which are known collectively as the Bill of Rights. Um, I just recently came across an article that there's a bill that has looks like it's been passed. It looks like it's going to go to Governor Abbott's desk. And as you guys know, I'm from Texas. So, and the bill is going to allow Texas Texas to become a constitutional carry state. So, what the hell does that mean? So, constitutional carry is kind of just what it sounds like. It's your constitutionally protected right to have that right to keep and bear arms. As it stands now, you have to go and get a specific license and do some training and some other things. But with this constitutional carry state, there's a number of states that are constitutional carry. I know New Hampshire's one. Um, can't think of another one off the top of my head, but a lot of us Texans have pushed for this for quite some time. Up until a couple of years ago, it was very expensive to go through this process. So you had to pay somewhere between 100 to 150 bucks. Maybe if you're lucky, you got a deal for 75, 80 bucks. But suffice it to say, 75 to 125 bucks to take the class. Then you had to pay, I want to say it was about $140 to pay to the DPS, Department of Public Safety, in the state of Texas, to get your, they used to call it CHL, Concealed Handgun License, but I think in 2015, Texas passed some rule where you could open carry. So then they changed the name to LTC, License to Carry. So you can carry open or concealed if you possess the LTC. So, because I'm a veteran, it only cost me like 40 bucks, and I think I bought a package or whatever when they were doing some training. So I want to say, all in all, it cost me with the Saturday class, it probably cost me about 120 bucks all in. So, not as bad as it could have been, but still, that's a chunk of money for some people. So a lot of people are really kind of high strung about this, and it's the name of this legislation has been dubbed HB 1927, and there's a lot of the Democrats that are pissing and moaning because this is the first legislation that's been passed since Odessa and the El Paso shooting. Um, I'm not really, at least not right now, not for this episode, interested in uh, debating what happened in El Paso and Odessa. We all know what happened. The things I will say, though, I don't know, maybe I will debate it. What the hell? The things you hear on the news they're so one-sided. I mean, and I think that is one of the biggest problems in our country today. The media just spoon feeds us what they want us to hear. They can spin a story and omit parts and put parts out of context, and all of a sudden you've got this story that's going viral, and when you really don't have all of the information. This jerk off in El Paso, you know, the warning signs were there. You know, no, it's another classic case of, you know, like nobody listened. You know, I even think the guy's mom was, you know, trying to tell people, hey, there's something not right. You know, but nobody listened, and you know, a lot of people lost their lives, and that's tragic. Um, you know, but at the same time, you know, I don't want to be stripped of the right to defend my life, my home, my family, my property, my dogs, you know, the things and the people that are important to me, you know, and for me, you know, it's not so much about the money, you know, paying, you know, $125 or whatever every 5 years. Um, you know, some of the other opposition is saying, well, you know, you can just carry around a firearm without any training, you know, and did our forefathers get training? I mean, how do you define training? You know, does that mean you have to, you know, pay money and go to a formal class to get training? Not necessarily. Um, Many people have served in the military. These are law abiding citizens, you know, because if they can own these firearms and, um, you know, because every time you buy a gun, you have to pass a background check, except in the state of Texas, if you already have your LTC, then you bypass the background check, but you don't bypass the paperwork. So every time you do it, you fill out paperwork, but you don't have to wait for a decision because you've already passed the background check. So, you know, I'm definitely not opposed to training, but you know, training how? What does that mean? And why does the government get to stipulate what kind of training we have to have? You know, um, when it comes to firearms, it's really one of the most simplistic uh, things, set of rules that you need to follow. There's only four. There's only four, folks. But none of the left want to talk about this. They won't. They make it out to be like, you know, you have to have a PhD in physics or something to know how to operate a gun. Let's break down those four things. Okay, so number one, it's simple. Always, and I repeat, always treat a firearm as if it's loaded. That's not too complicated, right? So that's number one. Number two is never put your finger on the trigger unless you're ready to squeeze that trigger or shoot at whatever it is you're engaging. If it's a steel target, if it's a paper target, whatever, do not have your hand on the gun while you're, you know, loading ammunition to it at the table at the range. Keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to pull the trigger. Okay. I haven't heard anything that requires, pretty much anything beyond fifth grade education, but okay, we'll keep going. So the third rule is always keep the firearm pointed in a safe direction. You know, if you're at a gun range, then downrange is safe, or you know, maybe up in the air, or you know, down at the ground if it's, you know, not concrete or something. But you know, but when you put the gun, in other words, okay, so if you're firing at a gun range and they call cease fire, you wouldn't put your gun, even if you know you just unloaded it, because remember rule one, always treat the gun as if it's loaded. You're not going to put the pistol face down with the barrel pointing back at you. I mean, you know, is that so hard? No, nothing. Still haven't heard anything that's like, oh my God, this is tough stuff. Okay, so here's the kicker. Here's the last one. always know your target and what's beyond it. Okay, so if you go out into the woods and you decide that you want to practice, shooting at trees or whatever, if there happens to be on the other side of those woods, if there's an elementary school, you're responsible for those bullets that leave your gun. So you need to make sure that when you're shooting, those bullets aren't going to go someplace that you don't intend them to go. Okay, so rather than maybe walk a little bit further, check some GIS surveys, go and see, try to set up on the side of a hill or something. I mean, there's a ton of different ways for you to not allow your bullets to over travel, So that's it. There's just 4 things you have to do, you know. Um, but I get it where people talk about, oh, you need training, to know how to use firearms. I mean, when I was a kid, my dad took me out shooting. Started off with a 22. And taught me those 4 very basic fundamentals, and everything else was, say, okay, son, here's how you load it. Here's what happens if the gun jams. You immediately take your finger off the trigger, set the weapon down, point it in a safe direction, and at that time it was call me. Now that I'm a grown up, I would try to triage what's going on. But I'm going to put the safety on. I'm going to, if it's a pistol, I'm going to pull the slide to the rear, and I'm going to make sure that gun is on safe before I do anything to it. And these are common sense things. So I don't know, what kind of training, they're talking about. And here's the other thing too, you're an adult. If you want to learn more, about firearm safety and all of these things, I mean, there's a million and one places to practice. There's classes you can take. There's free YouTube videos online. There's all kinds of stuff out there where a person can educate themselves about these things. So, for me, it more boils down to, I don't want the government telling me what I have to do and don't have to do. Okay, they do enough of that. If I'm not breaking a law, then I want them to leave me the hell alone. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I've been background checked out the yin yang. I mean, it's ridiculous how many times I've been background checked. I'm a registered nurse. I'm a nurse practitioner. I have to renew those licenses every 2 years. I've got TSA pre-check. Let's see what else. I've bought, I don't know, 60, 70, 80 firearms. At least I own 2 suppressors. I've been fingerprinted. I think I've done pretty much everything except give blood, semen, and urine. And who knows, that might be coming up next. But, I'd be curious to know what some of y'all think about this. Do you think it's a good idea, or do you think it's a bad idea? The other thing too that gets me is that, what you see and hear on mainstream media, as I said before, it's really designed to sway you one way or the other. Like with that, the young lady who was just killed, I think in Ohio, and she was shot by a white cop. The little black girl, I can't think of her name. She called for help, and the cop just came out and shot her. Well, they left out the fact that she was about to stab an innocent person. Even if that person was fighting with her or whatever. The threat was over. The girl was, she wasn't armed. I think she had a animal in her hand. I mean, come on. And LeBron James's dumbass came out and, oh, you're next. Justice is coming. Blah blah blah. I mean, just people talking out of their ass before they even know the situation. I implore you to to not react. Don't be so prone to react on emotion. That's what the media is counting on. That because that's what sells stories. When you say, "Oh my God, this is horrible. I've got to share this with 50 people." And then they share it and so on and so forth. And next thing you know, you've got a viral story and things aren't even, close to being right. It's like you remember that game you played when you were a kid. You're in a circle and one person, the teacher tells you, okay, here's the phrase, and it's like, you whisper it in someone's ear, and it's like, my my grandmother likes blueberry pie. And so what I said was my grandmother likes blueberry pie. So as it comes around 10, 12, 15, 20 kids, by the time it gets back, it's like a ship fell out of the blue sky. I mean, it's completely different than what it was. And so that's part of the whole thing. um, for me, it's important to not react on emotion. And sometimes you can't help it. Uh, we're human. I'm human. I get fed up with a lot of this nonsense of you know these so-called anti-gun people, trying to lay the blame at my feet. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I've, I don't go around breaking the law. Period. I mean, I raised a little hell as a kid, but who hasn't? But I mean, I have every right to protect myself and my family and the things and the people that are important to me. And you know what? Just, let's say I didn't have any family. Let's say I didn't own anything worth protecting and I had no pets. If I'm out and about and I see a lady, getting robbed and mugged, where's the compassion for your fellow man? And I see this guy or this, it could be a gal carjacking somebody, whatever. They got a knife. I'm not going to run up and try to disarm them. I'm going to shoot them. And I mean, I think that lady might be pretty damned appreciative of that. Maybe she has kids or grandkids or a husband or a wife or a spouse, whatever, somebody she wants to go home to. And, because of some dirtbag, they could potentially take that away. And the at the end of the day, and here's really, really what I want you guys to understand. I hear all the time, Greg, why do you need an AR-15 to go hunting? Greg, why do you need a 40 round magazine for this or that or whatever? And, you know, at the end of the day, the answer is none of your damn business. It's mine. Again, I can do what I want. I don't ask you, why you drive a Toyota Prius. That's none of my damn business. What, Greg? Why do you need an AR-15 with a 40 round clip, as they call them, which is completely an erroneous term. It's not a clip. The M1 Garands had clips, sort of, but nowadays they're called magazines. So, and it's not about what, like I said, I don't hunt. I just enjoy target shooting. I go out, I shoot some paper, shoot some steel, and I'm good. I enjoy practicing. I have fun with it. It's a great stress reliever. It builds nice muscle memory, and it can be pretty good exercise too. Not to mention, there's just something freaking cool putting a bullet from 2, 3, 4, 500 yards away inside of a square that's 1 or 2 inches in diameter. Like, I mean, that's just cool, you know. Um, but anyways, here's again, guys. Back to it. Sorry, I was digressing. The Second Amendment doesn't have a damn thing to do with hunting. The Second Amendment was not written so that you United States citizens, Americans, can have certain rights to go hunting. It's to protect ourselves from a tyrannical government. Think about when the Second Amendment was written. Our forefathers, we were going, we were breaking away from Great Britain, okay, and we said, you know what, this is what we're going to put into place, so this will never happen again, and that's my problem with big government. I don't want the government to expand its power and its control over me or anybody else for that matter. Because again, I'm a law abiding, highly intelligent, extremely well educated individual, and I'm 40. How old am I? 42. I'll be 43 in about a month. Y'all remember that my birthday's July 1st. I've been taking care of myself pretty well for a good long while, and I haven't needed Uncle Sam's help. I did serve my country in the United States Army, but again, I'm very much in favor of protecting the rights. I fought for this country to protect these rights for you, for me, for our kids' kids, our great, 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 great grandchildren. I don't agree with big government saying, "Oh, well, this is what you need to do." I'll give you another example. You guys have heard me talk about vaccinations. I'm very much in favor of vaccinations. It's been one of the most amazing developments in terms of healthcare in the last 100 years. I mean, vaccinations are amazing, but I don't. As much as I'm in favor of vaccinations, if a person doesn't want to take a vaccination, I don't give a damn. That's on them. As a nurse and an MP, if they don't want to take the vaccination, I try to educate, but it's not my job to make them take a vaccination. When I worked in the emergency department, the number one reason I don't recall ever having someone tell me, oh, I have a religious objection, or I have some other kind of objection. It was always, oh no, I don't want to get a flu shot because I don't want the flu. Oh no, I don't want to get, this tetanus booster because I don't want to get tetanus. And, that's just not accurate. Mm. Excuse me. And so at that point, it's my job to educate them on, how this actually works, and we don't infect people with the flu, so on and so forth. But again, it's not my job to put a gun to their head and make them take the vaccination. So, at the end of the day, we all have to make choices. But more than that, we all have to have a responsibility for our choices, for the choices that we make, for the actions, for the, consequences of our actions, if there are any. Somebody breaks into my house, I'm not gonna stand around and interview them and find out, hey, are you just in here? Are you just hungry? Are you just here to murder us? I mean, no, no, that's just not the way that that's going to go down. I'm going to respond in a manner consistent with my training and you know what I feel I need to do in that particular situation. So I'm really hoping that this constitutional carry will pass. And again, I'm definitely not opposed to training. I think a lot of places would even offer training for free, to help people, because I mean, there's some people, they're so scared of a gun because they've never shot one. I went with a coworker a couple of years ago. She never fired a gun in her life, and she shot, one of my AR-15s. We worked our way up, and I mean, she was like ecstatic. She's like, "Oh my God, I absolutely love this. This is the coolest thing ever." She felt empowered, and she felt something she never felt before, and I thought that was cool. You know, um, it's an important. Our rights are like muscles. If you don't exercise them, they'll atrophy. And atrophy is just a fancy medical way of saying they won't be any good anymore. They're not going to work. They're going to shrink and not, be as strong. So, folks, get out there, exercise your voice. Tell these politicians who work for us, by the way, don't let them dictate how we are going to protect ourselves, our family. You guys take care of yourselves and each other. Until next time, see you on the Dude Nurse Show. Before I forget to mention, if you guys have any comments, questions, please feel free to reach out, because I love hearing from y'all. I love the questions. I love the dialogue. Um, you know, that's really what this is all about. Just trying to start a dialogue, not trying to impose my will or my views on anyone. Would never do that. Just want to start a dialogue. Thanks.